Hi, ArcfieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Tuesday morning, December 28th. A very active weather pattern continues across much of the nation. Looks like it'll continue right through the upcoming holiday weekend into the early part of next week. A couple of relatively weak low pressure areas will move out of the Midwest over the next couple of days and into the eastern states. And then the weekend looks like it'll start off with a strong storm system on a Saturday that looks like it'll have wide-ranging impacts from accumulating snow all the way up in the upper part of the Midwest in the cold sector of that storm. Rainy, mild conditions on Saturday, New Year's Day in the eastern, much of the eastern part of the nation. And this particular storm system could even produce some severe weather across the Mississippi Valley, the Tennessee Valley, Friday night, Saturday time frame. There is a chance that there'll be a follow-up storm late in the upcoming weekend, Sunday night into early Monday time frame, and that's still in the speculation stage right now, but it would be of interest because colder air will be filtering into the mid-Atlantic region, for example, from the Great Lakes by the time we get to Sunday night. So if indeed a storm does develop in the eastern part of the nation late in the upcoming weekend, it could include some accumulating snow in parts of the northeastern part of the nation. We'll have to focus in on that threat for sure over the next few days here. First of all, let's start off with the 7-day outlook of total precipitation amounts as depicted by NOAA weather forecasters in the weather prediction branch of NOAA. Again, this is from this morning, Tuesday morning, all the way to next Tuesday, and these are total precipitation amounts. It doesn't tell you if it's rain or snow, but we'll take a look at snowfall over the same time period in a moment here. First of all, a lot more precipitation on the way for the western part of the nation. Again, this area has been suffering through some drought conditions. Certainly this will alleviate some of those drought conditions, especially in California. A lot of this will fall in the form of snow over those higher elevation locations from the Cascades of Washington and Oregon to the Sierra Mountain range in the eastern part of California. Again, a lot of snowfall over the next several days, and some parts of the Sierra Nevada mountains actually have now reached all-time records for the month of December, and there's still a few days to go with more snow on the way. A particular place in the central part of that mountain range recorded about 193 inches as of early yesterday in the month of December, kind of smashing the record that was set prior to that back in 1970, and 200 inches is definitely on the table as they get several more inches over the next couple of days. Meanwhile, in the east, a lot of precipitation showing up here over the next 7 days, and much of this will fall Friday night, Saturday, Sunday time frame. And in this region of the country, there can be even some severe weather in this unusual warm spell that they are experiencing. Again, the Mississippi Valley, Tennessee Valley could not only have some heavy rain, let's say Friday night, Saturday time frame, there could be some severe weather. And the initial storm brings a lot of rain in the eastern states on Saturday with mild conditions, quite mild conditions for New Year's Day, places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, and there is a chance for a follow-up storm late Sunday, Sunday night into early Monday time frame, something we'll focus in on over the next several days. Well, here's a total snowfall map from last night's zero-Z run of the operational version of the GFS. This is for the next 7 days, snowfall only, shown on this particular map from this morning, Tuesday morning, all the way to next Tuesday. And again, we talked about the Sierra Nevada range here and the Cascades, several feet of snow in these higher elevation locations of Washington, Oregon, and eastern California. We always emphasize Sierra Nevada because that is very important in terms of the supply of water to California in the summer months. Believe it or not, the snow melt in the Sierra Nevada is an important contributing factor to the water supply in California during the upcoming summer. So you absolutely love to see a buildup of snow, and that is for sure happening. Kind of unusual to see this kind of activity in the western U.S. for a La Nina winter where there's colder than normal sea surface temperatures out across the equatorial part of the Pacific Ocean. But indeed, they've been getting hit by storm after storm out across the western states, and a lot of snowfall, for example, here in the Colorado Rockies over the next 7 days. Meanwhile, decent snowfall amounts up across the upper part of the Midwest into the interior, New England, northeastern part of the nation, and some is put out here for the I-95 corridor region. This would be dependent on that second follow-up storm, the possible second storm late in the upcoming weekend, Sunday night, Monday time frame. The GFS model from 0Z does have a healthy looking snow event for the I-95 corridor region on Sunday night, Monday morning. However, it is kind of an outlier. The other models, the European model, the Canadian model, do not have not jumped on board to that, but I think it is something we certainly have to closely monitor, that threat for Sunday night, early Monday. Monitor that over the next few days. Well, before we decipher the 0Z run of the operational GFS, wanted to take a look at the ensemble run of the GFS in terms of 850 millibar temperature anomalies going forward, because there still is a change in the pattern that looks likely here to bring colder, more persistent colder air into the northeastern part of the nation. But for the next few days, very warm conditions for this time of the year across much of the eastern half of the nation, and very cold conditions relative to normal across western Canada, the northwestern part of the U.S., all the way down into California. This has been a persistent pattern, again allowing for substantial snow to build up in the higher elevation locations of the western U.S., but a lot of the cold air has been bottled up in the northwestern part of the nation over the last several days, from California to the Dakotas, all the way west to the Pacific Northwest, and really the southwestern and much of the western part of Canada. The southwestern part of Canada has been experiencing bitter cold air over the last several days. But let's move forward here again. He's just looking at temperature anomalies going forward here from Tuesday morning. Remains much above normal across the Mississippi Valley, Tennessee Valley, all the way into the Mid-Atlantic region over the next several days, and bitter, bitter cold out here across the southwestern part of Canada and throughout much of the western U.S. Very cold. You can see a big contrast area showing up here by the time we get to Thursday morning. This is a very strong cold frontal system, and this could lead to some severe weather, not only on Saturday, but also even later tomorrow across the southeastern part of the nation. Whenever you have this kind of unusual warmth, you have the possibility of some severe weather. It's not too atypical to see severe weather in the wintertime in a La Nina type of climatic regime. Again, we have colder than normal waters in the equatorial part of the Pacific Ocean. Sometimes that does result in some severe weather in the wintertime across the U.S. Let's now move forward here. And here's the time of concern for potential severe weather. This is now Friday morning. Still a big dichotomy across the nation with very cold to the north and west, very warm to the south and east. When we get into Friday night and look at these normals, or comparison to normals here, much above normal here, much below normal here in Montana, and by the time we get to Saturday, this could result in severe weather across the Mississippi Valley, the Tennessee Valley, maybe even into the Ohio Valley, and that could actually start in the Friday night time frame. Very mild New Year's Day, it looks like, for D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, and it will be rainy as well. Then we get a little later into the upcoming weekend, and notice now finally this colder air is starting to make a push to the east here by the time we get to Sunday morning. That strong cold front is now pressing across the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, and if indeed a secondary storm forms, you'll have colder air moving in, it looks like, by the time we get to Sunday night, early Monday. Colder air into the Mid-Atlantic region, into the northeast U.S. from the Great Lakes region. And indeed, if there is a second storm, that could pose some interesting possibilities in terms of rain versus snow Sunday night, early Monday. Something we'll watch out for. That cold air mass does blast into the eastern states by the early part of next week. Looks like following that there may be another warm-up, certainly a warm-up across the middle part of the nation, maybe by the middle of next week, that expands into the east. Then it turns colder again. And it looks like this time, the latter part of the first week of January, we're now all the way out to January 8th here. It looks like this time the colder air will spread into the east, and it just looks like it'll stick around a little bit longer than it has so far. Notice here, we're getting farther and farther out into the speculation phase here, but by the time we get to almost the middle of the month, January 12th, look at this expansive area of below normal temperatures, really extending from near the west coast all the way to the east coast by the time we get to the middle part of January. But you still have this sign of warmer than normal conditions across the southeast U.S., and it's something we'll have to probably battle with in the mid-Atlantic region in terms of the southeastern ridge here that every once in a while will pop up, strengthen, push some warmer air back into the mid-Atlantic region. So it'll be a battle zone here between the warmer air to the south and the colder air to the north. I'm talking about a battle zone in the mid-Atlantic region with that southeastern ridge hanging on. But again, by the time we get to the end of the first week, maybe into the second week of January, the cold seems like it spreads, has a little bit more longevity into the eastern part of the nation. Let's now focus in on the next few days, especially the weekend possible situation. Again, it looks like a wide-ranging impacting type of storm on Saturday with snow to the north and west of the track of the low in the upper Midwest. Maybe some severe weather across the Mississippi, Tennessee Valley. A lot of rain and mild conditions in the eastern part of the nation. Then we'll see why there's a possibility of a follow-up storm late in the weekend. First of all, here we are beginning the day on Tuesday, and milder today in the mid-Atlantic region. D.C., Philadelphia, New York City will certainly be milder than yesterday. Stays mild for the next few days, no doubt about it. It's above normal right through Saturday, the first day of the new year on Saturday. Now let's move forward. We have a couple different low pressure areas that will impact the Midwest, the Northeast, and Mid-Atlantic region over the next couple of days. Nothing too significant though, not a heavy rain event coming, but kind of damp, mild weather over the next couple of days. Then we start getting into the latter part of the week. And notice what's going on here across the southwestern California. We have a pretty vigorous upper level low moving in. And here we go into the latter part of the work week now, Friday, New Year's Eve. A couple different important waves here. One dropping south and east across the interior northwest, and another one moving across Baja California into the southwestern part of the nation. And as these two separate areas, here we are, by the time we get to Saturday morning, that will be of interest here. One initial wave of energy here comes Saturday morning, and a backup one, a secondary one, cutting across the Rocky Mountain states, the Four Corners region. By the time we get to Saturday morning, this is New Year's Day. So this is associated with that front-running storm on Saturday that could indeed produce some severe weather right in this region right here. There are very strong upper-level winds. We posted about this yesterday. It's right there on the homepage of arcfieldweather.com. Very strong winds in the upper part of the atmosphere could lead to not only a heavy rainfall, but maybe even some severe weather, Mississippi Valley, Tennessee Valley, maybe even into the Ohio Valley. And this is that secondary system that could spawn a second storm late Sunday into early Monday time frame. Too early to be certain about that. Again, the GFS is more bullish on that second storm. The other models have not jumped on board yet. Let's move forward. Here comes that first wave. Certainly rainy, mild conditions on Saturday, New Year's Day, D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. Here comes that second wave of energy. Can it help to spawn a second storm? It probably will. The question is how far to the north and east can that system go? Here we go all the way into Sunday night, Monday morning time frame. Something we'll monitor over the next few days. Now, how does all this translate to the surface forecast match from, again, the operational run of the 0Z GFS? We have a couple low pressure areas moving from the Midwest into the Northeast over the next couple of days. Looks like generally rain, no snow or sleet for places like Philadelphia, New York City, D.C. out of these next couple of low pressure areas. But when you go up upstate Pennsylvania, certainly upstate New York, you can have more accumulating snow later on tonight into tomorrow morning. But again, primarily rain in the D.C., Philadelphia, New York City corridor. That's wave number one. Here comes a second low pressure area by later Wednesday night into Thursday morning with some snow across the eastern Great Lakes. That kicks on out. And then we start looking for a stronger storm system. Here we are setting up by the time we get to Saturday morning. And look at this output here from the GFS. Again, this is an area where there could be some heavy rain, maybe even some strong to severe thunderstorm activity. Mississippi Valley, Tennessee Valley, late Friday night going into the day on Saturday. A mild New Year's Day across much of the eastern part of the nation. A lot of rain all the way up into New England. It'll be mild. In Boston, looks like rainy and mild on Saturday. New York City, Philadelphia, D.C., this whole area, a mild New Year's Day on Saturday with some rain. And this is the area to really watch in terms of flooding rains and maybe some severe weather. The Mississippi, Tennessee, maybe even the Ohio Valley here. And off to the north and west, Saturday afternoon, this is some decent accumulating snow in the cold sector of this storm system that jumps into the I-95 corridor region by Saturday evening. Some accumulating snow out across the upper part of the Midwest. And then we'll watch here by Sunday morning into the southeastern part of the nation. First of all, we have a cold push of air starting to push from the west to the east through the Ohio Valley early Sunday morning. And then GFS really kind of goes crazy with this secondary storm system. It is something to watch. Again, this is an outlier here. It quickly develops a strong low pressure area as colder air is pushing in Sunday night time frame and ends up producing a healthy snowfall even for the I-95 corridor region by the time we get to late Sunday night into Monday morning. Before you get too excited about this, if you're a snow lover in the I-95 corridor region, again, this is an outlier. The other models like the Canadian, the European model do not have this. I believe there is a threat for something like this to happen, though. I will say that. This is something I've been talking about for the last couple of days, even last week. The secondary system is something that the overall pattern could actually result in a secondary storm late Sunday night going into Monday. Still in the speculation stage, and we'll see what happens. This is going into Monday morning. That then pulls off the coast, and colder air does pour into the mid-Atlantic region, the northeastern part of the nation by the time we get to next Monday. It's 6 days away, January 3rd time frame. Will that secondary storm form later on in the upcoming weekend? Stay tuned. We'll focus in on that over the next few days. That's it for now. For ArcFieldWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.